What up? Good morning. This is Lauren with the Mindful Business Life podcast here with Lindsay Work, my good friend who I love dearly, who has been on this new journey of podcasting with me and coming to you, giving you our midweek mindfulness, love, and support with Journey to the Heart, a daily devotional by Melody Beattie. How do we always do this every week? It's just a daily devotional to keep you motivated, to give your soul a little bit of love. I ran into it while I was teaching yoga, and I just thought it might be a great thing to start casting about and just giving our personal perspectives around. And it's been really uplifting to be able to do this with Lindsay. And I moved, so I'm not around my friends like I used to be. So to have this moment to connect with my friends and have these deep conversations and just explore areas within ourselves that we haven't had time to explore thanks to this book has been a blessing. I'm the owner of RW Business Solutions, digital marketing firm. I'm a yogi, sound healer, Reiki too. But I'm a mixture of everything in life, and I'm just so grateful for that energy that I carry. Lindsay, you want to say what's up?
Yeah, I'm grateful for your energy too. It's funny, my screen says I'm Lauren Calloway as well, but I'm Lindsay Warwick. So funny. Lindsay Warwick, Yoga and Healing. I'm a 500 plus hour yoga instructor, Reiki master, integrated energy therapy practitioner, card reader. Also have a podcast, The Conduit, and that is available on Spotify as well as YouTube. Currently happy to do this podcast with Lauren and also doing a spiritual interview series called Top But Tuesdays. So check that out if that feels aligned or resonates with you. But yeah, super happy to be here today.
Today. So for those of you just tuning in, Lindsay and I read the excerpt of the day. Sometimes we read it the night before or the day before, and then we post it. So you may hear the language kind of flip-flop, but we're reading for February 9th. And it's keep your heart open, which I've been told lately. And before I even get into it, I've been told lately, like, just be fucking patient. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'll be patient, but get it here. Whatever's meant for my little heart, let's get it. So
sips coffee.
All right, so we're going to break it down for you. Keep your heart open. Keep your heart open even when you can't have what you want. I can't even today. It's easy to keep your heart open to life's magic and all its possibilities when we have what we want. It's more challenging and more necessary than ever to keep our hearts open when we can't have what we want. Even on the best journey, things happen, plans change, things shift and move around. This shifting and moving causes doors to close, relationships to end, blocks and frustrations to appear on your path. For now, this is what we see. For now, this is what we know is a disappointment. We can't have what we want, and it hurts. When that happens, our tendency may be to shut down, close our hearts, forget all we've learned. Keep your heart open anyway. Consciously choose to do that. Yes, you can go away, you can leave, you can shut down, but you don't need to. Now is a turning point. If you choose to keep your heart open, even when you can't have what you want, miracles will unfold. Remember, for now, remember this. Even though you don't have what you want right now, keep your heart open anyway. Later, you'll see more. You'll see how it worked out, how it needed to be, just so. Ooh. This is definitely a heavy hitter for me right now, since literally this past weekend, me and my dude like officially ended things. Or I don't know, every time we get at like a 4-month mark, he has like an emotional heaviness and life is like really chaotic and we like take a break. And so we're at pretty much like our 9 months. And so we're hitting this point. And I actually told him that. I was like, every 4 to 5 months, you have like this emotionally heavy charged time and you kind of shut down and we take a break. And so it's really funny to have to read this because I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting what I want. But I usually shut down. And what I'm noticing is that I have been really actively trying hard not to shut down and not to get so emotionally attached to what's going on. And so I think for me, like I've just seen how much I've matured so much over like even just the last year, where I'm just willing to keep myself open. I mean, we talked about it in the podcast maybe last week about, my whole Aya journey. The whole weekend was for me about, keeping my heart open, reopening my heart, reawakening the energy within my being that comes from my heart space, because I've had so many, so much emotional, so many personal issues that have shut me down because I just have felt like I can't trust people, or I don't want to let anyone in, or it's best if I just fucking do everything myself because nobody's fucking reliable, and so this whole year has really been a year of me trying to keep my heart open, to feel into my feelings, to try to continue trusting people even after I deal with whatever it is I'm dealing with. So this one, like I said, everything's been telling me to be like real patient, like everything I read, and then like reading that, and I'm like, this one's definitely for me, I think, this week.
Yeah. I mean, I think, keeping the heart open even when you can't have what you want. I mean, I could go down like a philosophical rabbit hole of like what I want is sometimes what my ego wants, but it's not necessarily what the higher soul needs or wants, or the higher heart. And of course, yeah, it is easy to keep the heart open when life is magic and all its possibilities, when we have what we want. I'm doing this because it's all relative. And of course, it's more of a challenge and necessary to keep the heart open when we can't have what we want. So it's like if we don't have that relationship that we thought was going to last forever, how it is hard to keep your heart open, especially for, you mentioned relationships, and it's, if you break up with somebody or something happens with them that was totally unexpected, it's hard to say, oh, well, it's hard. Like I find myself going into that space of I'll never find that kind of intense connection again. I'll never find love again. And it is really challenging and hard to keep your heart open when you don't get what you want, or you applied for a job that you really want to get and you get a rejection. But just on the spiritual path, it's like rejection is actually God's protection, right? Like, and this is so in alignment with like, just everything going on with my life. Of course, I never really like to share too much personal stuff on here, but there's a really difficult situation that I'm dealing with. When this airs, it'll be happening, that tomorrow, the day today, whatever, you're listening on Wednesday. So it's happening today, and it's not how I wanted things to ever go. It's sad, and it's hard for me to keep my heart open after all of the stuff that's gone on as far as that. But it's necessary for me, or else I'm not going to, if I don't keep my heart open, if I keep my heart closed, then I'm not going to be open to the new opportunities that are just waiting for me, once things have been complete. But it is super hard to keep the heart open when shit's not going your way. You want to shut down.
For sure. I think, like I said, I've noticed such a maturity in me this last year, just dealing with a lot of, transitions in my life, whether it's partnerships, relationships, personal endeavors and things. And, my mantra when shit is buck wild is, or something like, the rejection piece, and it's not just relationship wise, but it's just anything that, I thought I wanted that doesn't happen. I just go, there's something better for me, and that's kind of the mindset I try to keep is like, we talked about it in my business podcast on Monday, that, I always go with that whole saying that like everything's working for me. And he kind of laughed at me a little bit, but at the same time, it's true. There is a reason, like you said, like God is sometimes stopping you from being in that situation, that relationship, because it's either not meant for you, or it's not ready for you, or there's something better for you. And so I know for me personally that's been like the mantra heavy for me, is that, oh, there must be something better, or I'm still growing. I still have growth to do in order to be ready for whatever the bigger blessings I'm meant to receive are. And so that's been heavy for me, just that something better, or, but like I told you, just like signs lately have been like, just be patient, have patience, and that's been a real big blessing for me, just those gentle reminders.
Yeah. And it's like, things are going to happen on the journey. Plans change, things shift and move around. And the shifting and moving causes doors to close, relationships to end, blocks and frustrations to appear on the path. And like, you can get stuck in those moments of frustration, and you can stay in that vibration of being disappointed and being hurt when things don't turn out the way you wanted them or expected them to. And I think this whole idea of expectations are just resentments in waiting. And not to say like don't have standards,
Right.
But have standards and boundaries, but having expectations of how a situation is supposed to be. It's crazy. Like there's been relationships where, I never saw, that I would have another conversation with that person ever again in that moment. And now, like moving forward, there's been like conversation of and forgiveness, and now like the relationship is stronger because of that, or just knowing and trusting. Like I love what you said, your mantra about things happening for you, is that even though it's not what we want from an ego mind perspective, it's our soul is literally always guiding the way. Like our soul is the map, it's always guiding the way. And it's hard. It's just, it can be hard. I mean, life is life. It would be boring if there was no like challenges or resistance to anything. And it's okay to feel those feelings of disappointment, but to not stay there forever.
For sure. I did this Colombian tobacco ceremony thing a couple months back, and it was really cool. And I've talked about it before just on Facebook and stuff, but the one thing that stuck out to me the most is that they were like, the heart is always in the present moment, and the heart itself isn't feeling the pain. It is your mind that is feeling the pain. It is your you going back and thinking about the past and thinking about the moments. And so I can't remember exactly how he said, but ultimately, like, your heart doesn't feel pain. Your heart is actually always happy and always okay, but it's the mind that is always feeling and going back into it. And so it goes back to that whole concept, like you were saying, it's like, your heart really is okay. Your heart is still beating. Your heart is still giving you energy, but your mind is what is living in the past. Your mind is what's living in the future. I talked about in the podcast on the business one, we live 80 milliseconds in the past, even when we're like thinking we're in the present, we're not. And so with that concept, like, you're always technically kind of living in the past. And so our mind just gets caught up in that natural state of being in the past, because it's a natural thing that we can't really do anything about. So, the main thing was like not having those expectations, and then cutting yourself off when you start going down those rabbit holes. When I start thinking about Jordan and I, I have to let go. I can't go there today. I don't want to think about, the last 9 months, and I just kind of try to shift my thought process into something different. And so I agreed with you a lot on that, like not having expectations, having standards, but not expectations, trying to be as present in the moment and engaged with the people you're with or the things that you're doing so you can stay as present as possible. And that, the heart isn't sad, it's the mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's your ability to keep going back and playing memories, and the thing about memories are not concrete. Memories change. There are scientific studies that show that what you think you remember is always different, always off in some fashion when you think back to it. And so you can't rely on your memories to lead you anywhere because they change every time you think about it. It's scientifically proven. So what you think you're thinking about is not accurate ever when you're thinking about the past.
Oh my God.
Most people don't know that. It's a study. It was a study that every time you think about the past, you alter it in some way.
That makes sense. I mean, what about like someone like me where like my memory is just like, it's just not that great. So,
You really
and I guess it's what? What?
I said, so you must really alter it.
I have no idea. I mean, maybe I do, but I think it's because I am trying to always live so much in the present that I don't, ruminate on those things. And it's like I just keep moving forward. But yeah, it's interesting how like your thoughts really do dictate your feelings. Like it's not your heart. It's like your mind is creating these stories and then it's creating these vibrations and it's creating these feelings that go with that story. So yeah, just like you, if there's something really heavy going on in my life, I'm like, I can't like think about this right now. Like I'll think about it later. Like I need to move my body or I need to do something to take care of my well-being to move through it. But yeah, it's interesting. And I don't know. I do love this reading of keeping your heart open. It's like a little like, you got this, like kind of a thing. Like, even though this sucks right now, like keep your heart open anyway. It's like that quote. It's like, don't let hard experiences harden you, like make you a hard person. It's like, are you going to take those tough times and are you going to turn into an asshole or are you going to allow it to make you better? Like, are you going to let it alchemically like change you?
Yeah.
So it's, it's interesting here. Now is a turning point.
I was just about to say that one too.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Of course you were.
Yeah. Because I love it. I feel it. I'm feeling into that a lot right now. Like I said, I feel like I'm growing up maturity wise, right? I'm hitting this maturity level when it comes to what I think a relationship should look like. I'm restructuring these thoughts I've had around relationships and what it means to be in a healthy relationship. And I myself am being willing to keep my heart open. And that is a huge turning point that I can sit here and see such a significant growth in my well-being and my mental state and my emotional state. And so I was hardcore, like about to say the same thing. I was like, that turning point, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling into that.
Yeah, me too. Especially, when this airs today, like it's a tough day for me and doing something that is very hard. I know it is also a turning point for me. And I have to keep my heart open, even though it's very challenging. Sometimes, yeah, it is hard to be, where I am and not having exactly what I want right now. But I know that hindsight is 2020. Like this is saying like later you'll see more, you'll see how it worked out, how it needed to be just so. It's like when you're in the shit, you can't see your way out of it. But then once you get to the other side, you can look back and see like why things had to happen the way that they had to happen.
Absolutely. Well, again, everything's happening for you. There's, a reason, and it's guiding you to whatever your path is, and these experiences, I mean, good, bad, indifferent, they're all meant for you to grow, period.
Mhm.
This whole experience is a growth experience. It's an opportunity to grow mentally, emotionally, physically strong, spiritually strong, and I mean, that's just the path, the path of challenges to see if you want to actually evolve into the best human being you can be. Um, and so I too, I love that, I keep trying to keep that in mind. Just just the magic will happen. The magic is happening. God's energy is supporting you through the challenges. And I've noticed more that I just call on God more with the challenges. It's taught me that too, with keeping my heart open. I'm like, all right, God, I need some extra strength today because I don't know. I don't know if I got it. Or I need extra clarity today. Can you, bring me that clarity? And I found myself really calling to God a lot more because I have kept my heart open. And so I'm reaching to that ultimate power source, that ultimate energy for additional love and support. And I'm feeling into that too. And it's weird for me to say I'm feeling into things because I didn't like to feel nothing for a very long time. I
Mhm.
wasn't, I'm not a feeler, not into that. I wasn't into that kind of stuff. It's not that I didn't feel, like I felt, but I would be like, I cut it off real quick. It's like, oh, felt. And before I even really felt it, it was pushed off to the side. Um, so it's really interesting to be so like, oh, I'm feeling into this or that, because it's a whole different Lauren, very different Lauren.
Right? I mean, we're reading the Journey to the Heart book, so that basically is testament to that.
Yeah, it always circles back, right, into like who we
Mhm.
are, who we've grown into, and I really love that about this. Let me see.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so in alignment. I feel like every week these readings are resonant with what's going on in our lives. And hopefully, the listeners also can resonate with the messages. I feel like today's is pretty direct and
Yeah,
very, very clear. And it's just like, even if you can't do anything else, it's like, just keep your heart open. Don't close it up. Don't say F everything, or I'll never find love again, or I'll never, have the job that I want, or whatever. It's like, as long as you can stay open and keep moving forward, then the miracles will unfold, and you will see in the future that everything worked out exactly the way it's supposed to.
I agree. I 100% agree. Like I said, I definitely noticed that by being willing to keep my heart open lately. I am still seeing so much like positive things going on around the chaos. And um again, I just feel stronger in my faith, to walk by faith and not by sight. Um and to trust and believe that everything's working for you. Like, I know this is such a heavy testament for me just this last few years period. I started with the whole goal a couple years ago, like start collaborating with more people to open my heart up and trusting in people. And I did. I started hosting workshops and retreats and working with more women and really doing these deep connective type things. And then this year was another heavy focus on just keeping my heart open and going to the Aya journey and doing that. And then to see that I've gone through some struggles and strifes, with my parents staying with me, or with Jordan and I separating, and like me just kind of being like, it's okay. I'm good. I'm gonna make it through it. Cause we make it through 100% of our days, right? Even at the worst days, if we're still here the next day, we've made it through 100% of our days. And so that alone should show you that everything is going to be fine. It just isn't always going to be comfortable. And so I today is just such a nice, gentle reminder for me, at least, because it's been obviously a rough weekend. And so I'm grateful for these moments for sure.
Me too. And it's like sitting in the discomfort is like a huge lesson as well. Like this weekend, I did the Mind Zero experience, which is like a super hot sauna, and then you get into an ice bath for 2 minutes. And I thought I hate being cold. Literally, it's like the worst thing ever for me. And I was like literally in the tub, like my shoulders were under, like I did the whole thing. And the second time around, I was even like smiling and closing my eyes, like meditating. And after I felt so amazing, but like during it, I was like, this fucking sucks, which
Yeah.
is like kind of like how like some yoga poses are.
Yeah.
But after getting through that discomfort, I was like, I got this and I am so strong. I am capable, I'm worthy, I'm strong. I just had to get through that tough time and discomfort. And so, yeah, I think that that's, a metaphor for life as well.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it in the subconscious yesterday in the mindful business podcast part of this podcast, and just the self-sabotaging mental habits and things like that. And all it is your ego trying to keep you down. And what we talked about was just the concept of learning to work with that concept, that the ego is testing you, that the ego is trying to keep you down. And so starting to utilize that as a resource rather than being like, okay, I'm going to stay down, or like this thing is like attacking me energetically. Right. And so like we were just talking about how like let the darkness, like let the dark side, the shadow work, the ego, let it help mold you into the best you that it can be. That is what it's really there for. If you take time to pay attention and start to see what habits are keeping your heart closed, see what habits are popping up constantly, what thoughts are popping up constantly to keep you from moving forward, that are keeping you from breaking, generational curses or old habits that you have wanted to get rid of. So if you really start sitting down, paying attention, tuning in to that ego driven mind, you can start using it to maximize you at your highest potential. And it's just a partnership. It's a dance between that light and dark, but you have to dance with that dark a little bit to find the light. And so we talked about that a lot yesterday, just using that ego to actually be a positive rather than a negative, and to help you kind of just let go of the things that are holding you back. But it's all subconscious. It's all the mind. It's the mind constantly
Yeah.
coming for you, constantly challenging you. And if you're smart like me, I love challenges. So I'm like, okay, what you got for me today? Like, what are you going to tell me about myself or emotionally about myself that I need to like pay attention to? And that's
Right.
how I meet my dark side of the moon, is just like, all right, what am I learning right now? Why am I in this state of being? Why am I being so negative? And it's like, okay, you still have work to do. That's all it means. you know
Mhm.
don't get depressed about it. Just do the work, figure out what it is that you need to work on, and continue to do that. But that takes keeping your heart open too. I mean, that alone, to transmute old habits to convert into like a higher being, it takes keeping your heart open so you can receive that to which you need to know.
Yeah. And like without the darkness, then we wouldn't see the brightness of the light. Like without the tough times, we wouldn't see like the beauty. Without, you know, sadness, we wouldn't see like happiness, or without fear, we wouldn't have love. It's all relative, you know what I mean? And yeah, especially like if you're in the darkness, to keep your heart open so you can move through it with dignity and integrity and with grace.
For sure. For sure. Absolutely. The heart, it's such a tender thing, and it's not even our heart that's tender. It's our emotions, it's our expectations. It's, all the things that we've said. And It's been hard. You know, this last year, a couple years with COVID and stuff, you know, you see so many people shifting and changing, and even, you know, going through all that, you know, people aren't as friendly and people aren't as supportive and people are becoming more judgy. And, you know, all we can do is like pretty much preach, right? You know, keep that heart open, be good to your fellow man, you know, be Christ-like, and live the life of being good and doing good for others, and really lead life with your heart and not your mind.
Yeah, definitely. Gosh, the COVID stuff has caused so many issues between people and families, and just, yes, always have to keep my heart open as far as that is concerned. And, you know, just I'm accepting of whatever people decide to do as far as that, you know. And then also realizing that I'm not going to receive the same type of openness from people about the decisions that I make about my health or whatnot. But it's definitely, you know, driven a lot of fear into people's hearts. And so now more than ever, we do need to keep our hearts open.
Absolutely. Absolutely. War tactics. War tactics. Got to keep the heart open.
Yeah, for real.
War tactics. Scare tactics. How can we oppress? How can we oppress? Turn everybody against each other. So this is the most important time for people to keep their hearts open, and the most important to live godly and to try to be the best they can be.
So whatever you're going through, even if it sucks and you feel like you want to shut down and hide away, know that you don't have to do that. You could keep your heart open, and you know that will draw more miracles to you, and you will get to the other side of whatever you're going through, and it will all be revealed why it happened the way it happened.
Absolutely. And just keep the mantra, you know, everything's working for me. And that if this isn't meant for me, I'm meant to have something greater. And those are the two things that always keep my heart open and keep me moving in the most flowed state as possible. And so, you know, grateful again for Lindsay and taking a little bit of time to do today's podcast with me. We will touch back next Wednesday for the midweek mindfulness. But don't forget, on Mondays, I do a mindful business podcast on the same one, the Mindful Business Life. And then Lindsay has her Talk Tuesdays, Tatva Tuesdays, where she talks and more in depth on spiritual topics and things like that. So please make sure you take some time to tune in to the Conduit, which is Lindsay Work's podcast, and then the Mindful Business Life, which is mine. And Lindsay, did you have anything else you want to say before we hop off?
No, wishing you all a beautiful day and a beautiful week, and check back with us next week.
See you later, guys. Thanks for tuning in.